Welcome to the Wisdom of 21 Winning Women and Their Lessons. My name is Reverend Joy Dore, and I'll be your host today. The purpose of this summit is to empower, to inspire, educate women by showcasing the diverse experiences and wisdom of 21 accomplished women who have achieved success in their respective fields. The summit aims to create a platform for collaboration, learning, and networking, fostering a supportive community for women striving for excellence. Lastly, help women embrace their winning moments, regardless of how small or big, towards a successful and fulfilling life. And this time we are looking to empower, excel, embrace, and elevate. And in the studio today, we have Suhaiba Neill. She is the author of Like a Girl, 22 Leadership Lessons for Women on the Rise. Suhaiba Neill is also the owner of the Full Circle Business, a consulting company founded to help follow business owners get from stress to streamlined. And using 20 years of experience managing the family painting business, she has crafted proven strategies to help others increase their productivity and profitability through the use of systems and processes. And thank you for coming today to be in this summit, and also to, just give us all you have, where you started, how you started. And actually, we just want to know who Suhaiba is and how she earned or learned all that she's going to be sharing with us today. And also your background, what led you to start the business, what led you to write the books, what led you to the leadership movement that you're running right now. And I'm just going to once again, welcome you to our studio today.
Thank you for having me. And I will start with a confession that I'm really not good at celebrating myself and my own accomplishments. So it's always interesting I've gotten better at it, especially in the last year and since the book came out. But that is also something I'm still working on. And it is a chapter in the book. The chapter I almost forgot actually is called Celebrate Everything. It's the bonus chapter at the very end. I won't give any more away from that. So my background, yes, I am one of four. I'm the only girl. I grew up with three brothers, two older and one younger. And I've worked in all male dominated industries my entire career to date. So essentially, in my entire life, I've been surrounded by male energy and not so many females in my sphere. So played a lot of sports through middle school, high school. I managed a men's basketball team in college. I worked for the Philadelphia 76ers out of college, which was my dream job, a lot of fun. And then I moved into the family business, which is residential painting. And we're in the suburbs of Philadelphia and have a really, actually fairly big company, which I didn't realize either until probably 6 or 7 years ago when somebody gave a survey of residential painting companies and what the average size is. So we're definitely in that top 5% of being a big residential painting company. And the other thing I will confess is that before I wrote the book, my definition of leadership was totally off. So I had this picture in my mind of what a leader was. And of course, it was like the dominant male figure. Probably partly from being in sports my whole life and having coaches, that have that, big personality and yell, yell, yell and push, push, push. And I thought that's what a leader really was. And then I was actually at a conference, I think 2012, maybe we were in Baltimore, and we had a keynote speaker who talked about leadership. And he said, a leader is someone who helps someone else through something that they wouldn't be able to get through on their own. And I had kind of a little bit of a light bulb moment and realized that I could be a leader. I already was a leader. And then from there decided that I wanted to define what that meant for me. So the other thing I think that happens a lot in the world, and it's still shifting, but in writing the book and doing some more research and speaking about it, I've kind of paid a little bit more attention to the facts about women in leadership, and it's still not great. That's the goal, though, is to continue to have these conversations and kind of empower more women to, like I said, step up and step into that space and claim it for themselves. So I wanted to be really clear about what kind of leader I wanted to be and make that an internal journey and not an external kind of somebody else deciding for me. And I'm truly blessed to have a super strong African American mom who that's where most of my wisdom comes from, is from her and my grandmother. I tease now that I have a Black grandmother and I had a Southern grandmother. So I got it. A lot of education and a lot of wisdom from both sides. But the goal and actually the inspiration to finish this book, as you can see, reading and writing have been loves of my life for a very long time. It was my daughter. So she's a sophomore in college this year. And kind of when she started and left home, and I realized she's going to have to kind of carve her own path and chart her own way. I wanted her to have a little bit more than I had at her age. So I'm in my 40s now and I'm realizing all of these things. My goal is to help the 20 something and the 30 something year old women learn these lessons a little sooner
Yes.
and take up space a little earlier. I think the younger generation is a little more confident than our generation was potentially because of things shifting. But I really wanted to, like I said, pay it forward as much as I could. And I tease her all the time. I'm like, there's some lessons you don't need to learn the hard way. Like I could tell you, yes, that's a good idea, or no, that's not a good idea. And some lessons she'll have to learn on her own. But that was my goal. And the other thing that came to me, and the reason it's women on the rise, for me at least personally, I feel like we should always be evolving. That's a journey that never really ends. So no matter what age or stage you are in your life, I think there's always time to kind of stop and reflect and revisit. And like I said, there's 22 lessons, and at the end, because both of my parents were teachers, there's a little exercise to kind of figure out where you're doing really well and where you may need to spend a little bit more time. And that's the goal, is to kind of be able to revisit and say, you know what, I'm really great at this part of leadership, but I'm really not good at this other part of leadership. So maybe I should focus on that a little bit more this year and kind of just continue to grow and evolve. That was the goal. So.
That is so, I like that 22 lessons, There's a lot of lessons. And imagine when somebody finish learning all those lessons, you should really come out stronger, as a woman. And for me, I believe you have a lot of advantage though over a lot of women who just spend time with fellow women and never really get to hear maybe how men talk about women. Or so you are going to be a kind of powerful leader, because you're not just going to speak as a woman listening to your grandmoms. You're also going to be speaking to these women that, listening to the other men who has always been there, and their view, how, maybe they feel they intimidate women and things. So your strategy, like the 22 lessons, should be powerful. So, hey, audience, make sure that you connect and get it, especially if you're still in that place that you're feeling inferior around men. This lady has been through it. She has seen them all, heard them all, and she's ready to help you. So, and that brings me to the first question I have for you today. Once again, I'll keep thanking you for coming, because these wisdoms, to me, they are what our age need. As you said, the young people are, for me, they kind of like more bold, because, they're going out of that place or where we used to be. Oh, women can't do this. Women can't do this, in a good way. So, and that is why I'm raising two daughters, and I'm excited that, you're here to be a voice. So in supporting women on the rise, what key challenges have you observed, or how do you guide them in overcoming obstacles to confidently take their place in leadership roles?
Like I said, for me, I think starting internally and really asking that question, what type of leader do I want to be? And one of the things I realized I tease it's the happy accident of writing and publishing this book, is now I've met all of these incredible women. And so now my world is not just men anymore. I've met a lot of incredible women along the way who are happy to collaborate and have conversations. I think, unfortunately, there is a level where there's some competition. But when you get above that, like amazing things have happened in my world just in the last few months with women who've supported me and are connecting me to other people and helping me share my message, you're on the list. So I think getting really clear, I think we need all different types of leaders. And it's funny, I tease that there's a book called Quiet, which I mentioned in my book, which is about introverts. And, people think, oh, you can't be a good leader if you're quiet and introverted. And it's really actually not true. So no matter what your kind of personality type is, however you're hardwired, we need leaders in all of those different areas because everybody doesn't respond well to that super high energy, go, go, go kind of, I tease like the bull that just runs forward and doesn't stop and pause and think about things. And not everybody works well with that kind of leader. So I think getting clear about who you are and what you want to be as a leader, and also you're the leader of your own life. So if you don't get clear on who you are and what's important to you first, it's really hard to navigate in the world and kind of stay true to who you are. So the other thing I do mention in the book is um, my word is authentic. So I
Mm.
tease that everybody has bad days and you might catch me on an off day one time. But for the most part, when I show up, you're getting the real me every single time. And that's really important to me. And I think sometimes as women, we lose that because you feel like you have to fit in or you have to be quiet or you're expected to be this way or that way. So getting really clear on who you are as a person, who you want to be, and then staying true to that. I think again, for me, it was interesting. I'm still in one of my networking groups where I'm the only woman in the room, and it doesn't even phase me anymore. Like, so that was my normal for so long, and it still is in certain instances. But, it doesn't, it's just that was my life. I have brothers, I have, a lot of male cousins. I played sports. It was just, very male dominated. Um, so just getting comfortable with the fact that no matter how many other women are in the room, you deserve to be there too. And one of the lessons, my favorite lessons, is kind of trust your gut and that women's intuition. I tease that women's intuition is real, men's intuition is not quite the same. But I also joke that this book isn't just meant for women. I think, and my graphic designer was a gentleman, and so he put a cute little thing on the front that says, guys might like this too. So I think for a gentleman wanting to read the book, you'll get to see the other side of things from a different perspective, which I think is also very important for us. But getting clear on who you are, taking up that space, and I still struggle with it sometimes. There was an instance a couple weeks ago where I should have spoken up, and I was in an environment full of men, and I didn't. And 2 days later, it ended up being, oh, if I had said what I needed to say when I should have said it, we could have avoided a little hiccup in, a project we were working on. So I think just having that confidence and practicing and practicing and practicing that, like, your voice matters and your thoughts matter and your ideas matter, and getting through the fact that unfortunately sometimes because it's a male dominated society and a male dominated industry you may be in, your voice, you may have to say it twice, but just continuing to, like I said, build that muscle and having the courage to speak up. So there are three things too that I like to talk about with regards to women in leadership. And one is, and I think it's the key to absolutely everything in life, awareness, like being aware, both for women and for men, of the situation, of the dynamics in the room. And then, like I said, having that courage to, somebody has to go first, and so having the courage to be the first. And then community. So that was the other thing that's happened with the book, which has been really cool, is I've built this new community of women. So essentially, my other community has been male dominated. Now I have this new community full of women who are also, trying to have that courage to be the first or pave the way. So those are the three things that I kind of like to start with. And the more aware we all are, the easier it's going to become, for the next generation and the next set of leaders coming up the ranks.
I like how you said, like starting from, like inside, like inner you, finding you first,
Right.
I love that part. And, the point to realize too that if you had spoken out, in the day you're supposed to, maybe things that came up, you're still in the process. And that is the wisdom for this summit, I call it. That is why you who watching us might think, oh, these are experts here, but still we are vulnerable to tell you it's something that happens, like a process. It's a process you have to go through till you finally find your voice. It's not something you just have to wake up and say, okay, I find it. Before you know it, you get frustrated because you didn't go through the process. So, I love that part. And that will bring me to the second question I have for you for the day. It says your work involves helping women claim their space and seat at the table. That's the part I was telling you earlier, right? Can you share a crucial moment or experience that inspired you to become a champion for women's empowerment in leadership?
So honestly, I think I was pushed and a little bit unwillingly into a leadership role originally, and I talk about that a little bit in the book as well. So I think for me, and now I've learned when someone else recognizes something in you that you don't quite see in yourself or don't trust all the way yet, believe them. So I've had a lot of mentors over the years, both male and female, and they've seen things in me that I wasn't quite ready to say, oh yeah, I'm ready for this. So I ended up being president of our National Association for Residential Painters way earlier than I would have ever signed up to be president, just because I didn't think I was ready. But someone else thought I was ready and they said, no, you're ready. You need to do this. So again, that's the courage of trusting an outsider that knows you well and then saying, okay, you know what, I'm going to go for it and I'm going to do it. And I still struggle with it. My current coach tells me all the time, because I'm that person that like every I has to be dotted, every T has to be crossed. Like with the book, by the end, I'm like, I was ready. I've read it so many times and I'm like, I can't change anything else. I just have to like, it's done. I have to let it be and put it out in the world. Um, so I think getting clear on who you are, trusting that if somebody says, hey, we want you to sit at this table, that means you're ready to sit at the table. Or, and I did this a lot in the family business, which I tease that I kind of got to cheat a little bit. So my dad started the company 50 years ago now. And so when I joined in, and part of the process of learning how to lead, I just sat next to him in a lot of meetings for a lot of years and was quiet and paid attention and took notes and kind of learned that way as well. So I think for me, just based on my personality, I'm going to observe and kind of learn as much as I can. And then when I'm feeling confident, or when, like I said, a coach or a mentor says it's time to jump, I'm going to, like I said, for me, it's like take that deep breath and, get that little moment of courage. You only need it for like 30 seconds and then just kind of go for it. So I think it's not waiting. I think there's also a statistic on like with men, or like even if they're not fully qualified for the job, they apply and say, oh, I'll figure it out when I get there. And for women, and I'm definitely in this category, we're like, oh no, I don't have, I'm 98% there, but I need that last 2% before I'm ready. Don't get stuck on the 2%. I think also a lot of it you learn through doing. So you have to have the courage to take your seat. And like I said, um, my very first conference with the painting company, I was very, very quiet because I didn't want to kind of put my foot in my mouth. I didn't know a whole lot about the industry yet. So I observed and I took really good notes and I asked really good questions. And actually, there's a chapter about this in the book, becoming a very good listener, instead of the one that's always doing the talking. But I would say, if the opportunity presents itself, don't let your internal fear stop you from taking the opportunity. And like I said, kind of learning as you go. And it's interesting. I've seen a couple things lately that were it's coming to the surface a little bit more of like this fear of failure. Failure is not a really bad thing necessarily. Sometimes it's a good thing. And so don't be afraid of, I actually don't call it failure anymore. It's just like, you know what? That was unsuccessful. So we're going to try it again and, do it a different way, or, tweak it a little bit. So that fear of making a mistake or, failing, don't let that stop you either, because until you've been unsuccessful, sometimes it's really hard to actually be successful. So you have to get through, and all of us go through it. But if you're in the right room and surrounded by the right people, they'll help you as well.
I love it. I don't know about you guys, our audience, but I'm loving this. I'm loving this conversation. This is like, yes, it's true. You have to sit, listen, take the note, ask the right questions, build yourself. But at the same time, when you realize that maybe somebody's telling you, come up to the table, and you've checked yourself, you have that 98%, don't wait for the 2%. I love that. I love that. Because you yourself to know, like, I will say something before I get to the next thing I have for you. You know, like you, some of us go to the mirror, especially women do it a lot. Even when they say, oh, it's something you get from the leaders leading. No, so many of us, even from our, like teenage age, right? That's what they call it. We see ourselves in the mirror talking to ourselves like, hey, this, that, like we do that when we are young. But now we come, like we come up to this place where challenges start happening, we are not where we want to be, or things are not going how we want it. We even forget watching ourselves in the mirror because we think, oh, we don't look good enough. But as a time, watching yourself in the mirror was the in thing. Talking to yourself, I'm that girl. Who do you think, all that on yourself.
Right.
And that is what our coach is saying today. As a coming up leader, because talking about, rising, women rising. As a coming up leader, the coach is telling you, don't wait till it's perfect to actually show up. Show up and take the process.
Yeah.
And let the process lead you to the top. That's how I see it. Because that's how she's coming. I sat, I listened to them. And when it was my time, people say, I am ready. I didn't know I was, but I had everything I needed, just the 2% I was waiting for. But I had to step up and, start it. So I'm so happy that you're here to share those awesome, powerful tips that is going to help all the women that want to win. Remember, this is a summit that we want ladies to embrace winning. Come on, as a woman listening to us right now, winning is everywhere. Right. Even waking up this morning, like I sent my kids to school this morning, I believe my day is good because I've just accomplished something. They were able to take their shower, talk to me, kiss me, and go to school. So something I did this morning that I'm so proud of, that I'm here to do it. My youngest is 9. What is it that seems simple, but is a great winning? That you're there feeling like, is not enough. We are calling you to know that is enough. So I'm going to ask you another question that, a lot of women might be having hard time with, and I want you to just bring clarity to them, right? As a leader empowering others, right? What strategies or initiatives do you believe are essential for creating a more inclusive and supportive environment where women feel encouraged to step into leadership roles with confidence?
Oh, that's a good one. So, and it's interesting because while you were talking about winning and like accomplishments, one of the things I just realized is all of the sports I've played in my entire life, for the most part, were team sports. So I never had to, it was like the team won. So I'm great at celebrating in a team environment. I'm not as good at celebrating in an individual, like it's just me, I did it all by myself kind of thing. I also always feel like there's always a little bit of help behind the scenes, but getting good at accepting the accomplishment and the compliments that come with it is also a really big and important thing to do, which I think I struggle with. I'm sure a lot of women struggle with as well. I think the other thing that I've learned, and like I said, I talked about this a little bit before, when you're surrounded by the right people, there's no more competition. It's about collaboration. And it's about when I started my consulting company, which actually, again, something I had no intention of ever doing. I'm like, I don't really want to own my own business and be my own boss and be responsible for everything on my own. I tease that I always was like great at being the right hand to the person in charge, but I didn't need to be the person in charge because I don't need to be in the spotlight. But again, I built all these systems and processes in our painting business and then was talking to them and some colleagues in the National Association. And they're like, you have to share that with the rest of the world. You can't keep that for yourself. So sometimes you don't realize that what you have or what you've accomplished or what you've done or what you've built could be really valuable to someone else, you know. And even like with me in the book, I go back and forth through the process of like being really nervous and being really excited and being really nervous and being really excited. And then I get to the point where I'm ready to say, yes, go ahead and print and publish it with my publisher. And I'm like, is it really good enough to share with the world? So I think surrounding yourself with people who are going to encourage you and inspire you, and you don't need a lot. So like I said at the very beginning, I'm absolutely positively 100% blessed with the mother that I got or that I chose, depending on how you feel that all works out in the end. And every time I wanted to do something, she always said to me, what do we need to do to make it happen? And I knew I was doing the work, but knowing that she was there behind me no matter what. And if I needed a little help, you know, she would jump in. But again, 98%, that was me. And, you know, that 2% was her just saying, what do we need to do? So just having maybe two or three people that you feel comfortable with sharing whatever it is your dream or your goal is. Actually, and it's been said a lot now, like don't overshare if you have a big dream or a big goal, because the people that can't dream that big will automatically tell you that that's not possible. So choose wisely who you surround yourself with. And again, like I said, pay attention to those mentors that notice things in you that you haven't seen in yourself yet. Um, and just go for it. You gotta tell somebody. So right now, actually the book, my daughter was the inspiration to finish it, and I have a really good friend whose daughter had just turned 1, and I told him by her second birthday, I'm like, it's gonna be finished, and I'm gonna have it ready so that, you know, when as she's growing up, you guys can have a copy and she has something to read. So her birthday was in July. My book actually came out in October. It does not mean I failed. I did not miss my deadline. It actually ended up being right on time. So my book birthday is my daughter's birthday, which is like super cool. So I also tell people a lot too, when like developing your leadership skills and going after a goal. If you set kind of a timeline or a deadline and you don't hit it directly, it doesn't mean you failed. It just means it's going to take you a little longer than you originally anticipated, but you're still doing the work. So had I not set a deadline of July, the book might not be in the world right now at all. So find some two or three maybe solid people. Like if you have a family member that's really supportive, if you have a friend that's really supportive, if you have a mentor, I call them mini mentors now. So I think unfortunately we're all so busy these days. It's hard to like spend too much time with someone, you know, on a regular basis, but I have these what I call mini mentors that I kind of tap their shoulders when I have something that like I really need some help with, and I know that they'd be a good person to help me with that. And they encourage me to kind of keep going and work through it, or they'll share a lesson that they've learned already to help me not have to, you know, take quite so long to get through something. But I think know that you're already a leader in some capacity, whether it's just of your own life or in a small kind of circle in your world, and that we're all continuing to grow and evolve, and that you should always be, like I said, listening and learning and asking good questions so that you can continue to become the best version of you possible.
I'm blessed. I know our audience will be blessed too. Okay, just you know, I'm this I'm this host that are always in the high, but just listening to you kind of like make me I bless God to have you today, because you know I want to play this for my daughters. I have two daughters, and I really love what you're doing. You know, the title of the book, Like a Girl.
Right.
That's the title of the book. Yeah, I love that. And trust me, I can't wait myself to get it, because I know that I've gone through some of your work, but I need it in my house to
Right.
put for my daughters, you know, and I'm going to show you once I get it so that you will see. But it was nice having you. And with all that, I had another question, but I'm just going to, you know, go into asking you before, you know, if there's any more time to ask you that one. But I'm going to ask you right now to tell us how will people who want to do exactly what you do or doing find you or connect with you, and also explain to them a little about the free gift that you have for our audience today.
Okay. So the book is called Like a Girl. Actually, I have it Hopefully it won't show up backwards. And it is available on Amazon, or if you go to my website, there's a link there where you can purchase it either from Amazon or from the publisher. So there's a paperback version and there is an ebook if you'd rather read it on a device. If you go to my website, which is for the consulting business, thefullcirclebusiness.net, I have a designated page for the book and some additional resources that are there as well. And then if you're on Facebook, or if you're on LinkedIn, if you're on Instagram, you can look me up, either the Full Circle Business, or you can look up Suhaiba Neill and find either of my profiles and connect with me there. I tease that my favorite thing to be is helpful. So if you have a question and you email me or you send me a message, I'm going to answer you. So all of that's there. And then what you're going to get at the end is another opportunity to download a little workbook to help. One of the things I tease and I talk about is we all have these goals of our own, whether it's work related or personal. And if I asked you, even right now, if I said right now, time and money wasn't an object, what's that one thing that's going to pop into your mind, a goal or a task or some kind of dream that you have that you want to accomplish in your life that you haven't done yet? I think all of us have one or two of those things. So there's a little workbook to kind of help you work through that. And again, I tease, one of my good friends tells me that I'm the queen of consistency, which is really the key to success, is you have to be willing to do the work consistently to get to the end goal. So the goal is to help you craft a plan and map out some kind of action steps and make it happen. So it is easier than you think once you get moving. So I did an exercise probably 6 years ago now and listed 10 goals of things that I wanted to do in the next 10 years. And I picked one to start with, which was the consulting business. And now since then, the book has come out as well. And I have two other things in the works. So once you map them out and you start plugging away, it does actually get easier. I can say that from experience. So that's the gift, is to help other women and men, if you want to do it as well, to, like I said, really identify something that you want to do and accomplish and create an action plan to make it happen.
This is what I call wisdom. Like everything, coming from a corporate like organization, your daddy started this business and you learn from the best of the best. If you ask me, company being among the top, in your city and everything. It's a privilege to have you on our summit this year, and also to, not just have you as that lady who managed this big firm, but as a lady who want to help, girls, like a girl who want to help them just find themselves. So to me, you are amazing. You're just like, okay, with all that high level of the year, you still find that time to write this book for the ladies who are coming up and, putting them in leadership early, because that is the problem. Most of children think, oh, I'm just born for nothing, or I'm born in this, let me even say, this company that have everything, this family that have everything, and I have no voice. So I'm just going to be that daddy's girl or mommy's girl. But even in this house that had everything, you had a voice, and not just you having the voice, you now want to give as many women as possible this voice. And it really blessed me today. I will save my last question for what I'm going to invite our audience. Remember, March 6 to 8, we're going to have the summit, and we're looking forward to having you. And hey, if you're watching us today, make sure you hold your email close to hear when our coach is going to be online, because you might get a chance to ask her a question. I'm going to save my last one for her for that day.
Okay.
So I'll all our audience to remember, you can't afford to miss any of the interviews, because I call them accomplished winning women, women who have, what is wisdom? Wisdom is like experience. They've gone through it. Now they want to share it. And that is the most, it's not like somebody that's coming here to tell you, I have this, I have that, but there's nothing to show for it. This is a journey I've been through. I want to take you along. You know what it means to take you by hand, to bring you where you want to be. This is where these ladies want to take you guys to. So once again, I want to say thank you, Suhaiba Neill. I've been practicing, as you can see. So thank you for coming. And I want to thank our audience who are here and tell you, you can't afford to miss those, those 3 days in March where all these ladies are just going to gather and even share more knowledge and help more people, right at the spot, take your life from where you are now to where you want to be as a winning woman. Because we know we are all winning. You just have to know that part that you're winning and continue to win and win more in those areas. So with that, we are saying bye-bye.